Since 1972, only 3 drivers in the entire NASCAR Cup Series have done what Shane Van Gisbergen is doing right now: arrive with genuine road course ability, compile a genuinely poor record on ovals, and then reverse it. Jerry Nadeau did it in 2000, Robbie Gordon did it in 2001, the third name was added this season. That transformation has already moved the championship cut line, pushed one contender to better than 90% postseason odds, and forced 4 other drivers into a fight over a smaller amount of space than they had a month ago. To understand how remarkable that third name is, you have to start with how lopsided this driver was when he arrived. From 2023 through 2025, Shane Van Gisbergen made 12 starts on road courses and 38 starts everywhere else. On the road courses, he won 6 of those 12 races. His average finish was 7.66. His adjusted points plus index was 279, and his driver rating was 121.9. Everywhere else on ovals of every size and shape, his average finish was 25. 0, his adjusted points plus was 48, and his average driver rating was 50.0. Those index numbers need one clear translation, and then you will understand every statistic in this story. An adjusted points plus of 100 is exactly average for the NASCAR Cup Series. A figure of 279 means his finishing quality on road courses was 179% better than the Cup average. A figure of 48 means his finishing quality on everything else was 52% worse than the Cup average. He was not simply strong in one place and weak in another. He was operating in 2 entirely separate competitive tiers depending on the shape of the racetrack. Analyst Neil Paine, writing for NASCAR.com, examined every modern-era driver, meaning everyone who debuted since 1972, and measured the gap between road course performance and all other track types through the first 12 career road races. Nobody had a bigger gap in either adjusted points plus or driver rating than Shane Van Gisbergen. As Paine put it, it was not remotely close. The conclusion across the garage was straightforward. This was permanent. Maybe he could improve a little on the ovals, but Shane Van Gisbergen appeared destined to be a specialist first and foremost. That assumption has now collapsed, and the reason is not what most people assumed it would be. The most obvious single difference between Shane Van Gisbergen and the rest of the field is right foot braking. It is standard practice in supercars, the Australian Series where he won 3 championships, and it is effectively extinct among the current group of NASCAR Cup Series regulars. It first became a major talking point when he won on debut at the Chicago Street Course in 2023 in a Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet that had been fitted with a television camera in its footwell. Viewers watched him brake with his right foot while working the clutch with his left, and the entire sport started paying attention to his pedal box. Here is where the story takes its most interesting turn. Shane Van Gisbergen himself does not believe it is the reason he is fast. Speaking to Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the Dale Jr. Download podcast, he explained why the technique existed in the first place and then explained why it matters less than everyone thinks in his current car. I don't think it is a big advantage. Of course I'm going to say that, but it's all I've known, he said. I used to do it because you had to in a V8 supercar. Because they would have a locked diff and you'd have to run so much rear brake to make it turn. You could control the rear lock in the brake zone. Then as you got to the brake zone, the clutch would be out as you turned in and it would help the car to turn. But in this, you don't need to because the diff is open. So you don't really have rear locking because you can run so much more front brake bias. His summary of the entire debate was that people overthink it. That has not stopped his rivals from trying. According to the television broadcast, Joey Logano of Team Penske began the Watkins Glen International weekend right foot braking and abandoned the attempt during practice. His teammate Austin Cindric is also known to have attempted the switch and even ran a Supercars wildcard entry in Adelaide last year in part to practice the craft. The most revealing account came from inside his own organization. Ross Chastain, his Trackhouse Racing teammate, described what happened when he tried it after Watkins Glen International. "My feet are on the wrong pedals when I do it his way," Chastain said. "I've learned my way and, at 33, it's tough. I can do it intentionally for like a corner or three, and then I get to the next corner, the next lap, and I go back to my way. It's just muscle memory. There is important historical context here as well. Right foot braking was once commonplace at NASCAR road courses before the introduction of the modern generation of gearboxes. Denny Hamlin noted that he was taught to road race using right foot braking and that he was doing it when he won at Mexico City 20 years ago. He does not believe the technique is coming back. It's going to be really hard, Hamlin said. I just don't see anyone coming up the ranks that are volunteering to learn that style and stick with it. And this is the point that makes the whole situation unusual. NASCAR operates an open book data system called ST, which means Shane Van Gisbergen's data can be studied closely by his rivals. Nothing is hidden. Every team can see exactly what he does. Knowing what he is doing and copying it have proven to be two completely different problems. But the technique is only part of the explanation, and possibly the smaller part. The more useful description of what he actually does better came from Connor Zilisch, the 19-year-old Trackhouse racing rookie who has become his most consistent threat on road courses. You never see him slipping tires, said Zilisch. There's times where, like out of turn 6 into turn 7, everybody else is getting to wide open and he's not even getting to wide open. Just little things like that where he doesn't push the car beyond what it needs to be pushed. That restraint has a direct consequence. It means he can raise his pace later in a run when everyone else has used up their equipment. Whenever people say he's toying with people, it might not even be on purpose, but he just is able to save his stuff and maintain the lead, Zilisch added. And then when he wants to go, he can go. Ross Chastain, a 5-time Oval winner, offered the simplest explanation for the Oval improvement itself. He just didn't do a lot of it in his past, Chastain said. He did some dirt track stuff, but no big concrete, big steep banked asphalt, high-speed mile-and-a-halves. I think he's just learned. He's a racer and puts the tire to the limit, and he's finding that limit. Steven is giving him the cars he needs. He pushes the gas. Shane Van Gisbergen has identified his own specific bottleneck, and it is not technique. It is speed of adaptation. He needs a handful of laps to become confident in the feel of the number 97 Chevrolet, and at most venues his tires are worn out by the time he gets there. The fix has been unglamorous. It is repetition. At North Wilkesboro Speedway, he ran the Craftsman Truck Series race on Saturday and finished third, then used lines he discovered in that race during Sunday's Cup event. Crew Chief Stephen Doran was direct about the value of it. It was just a real solid day, Doran told NASCAR.com. You speak about the race yesterday, I feel like that helped him a ton. Just learn the track. He used some of the lines that he figured out yesterday in the truck, so thanks to Spire for letting him do that. I feel like it benefits us a ton at these places, so the more of those we can do, the better, the more laps he can get at these tracks. Now look at what that produced across 2026. At Nashville Superspeedway, in the Cracker Barrel 400. He recorded his first career top 5 on an oval in his 64th NASCAR Cup Series start. He took the green flag from 10th after qualifying was rained out. Stephen Doran went off strategy with a 2-tire stop during a lap 35 competition caution, and Shane Van Gisbergen led 12 of the next 16 laps. He traded the lead back and forth with 2-time champion Kyle Larson before bobbling on lap 53. Late contact with Chase Elliott cost him positions, and he finished 5th. It's amazing. You start up front and your car feels so nice, and then you go to the back on strategy, and it felt like a bucket of, he said afterward. It was good getting strategy back, and we got to the front again. It's so good racing up front, you get better and better. I enjoyed myself tonight. At Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Coca-Cola 600, the finishing position badly understated the run. A slow pit stop dropped him to 11th despite an average running position of 7.81. According to NASCAR Insights, the number 97 Chevrolet ranked 7th on sheer speed and 6th on defense among the 39 car field. It was a decent day, he said. I was just frustrated at the moment because our finishing position wasn't as good as we probably deserved. At Echo Park Speedway, a drafting track, he finished 6th. Then came the Window World 450 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. He started 8th in a 37-car field. A 2-tire stop in the first cycle through pit road vaulted him to 4th. From there, he passed 3 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers in succession: Christopher Bell, then Ty Gibbs, then Denny Hamlin, to take the lead on lap 52. He led 4 times for 49 laps that night. His previous best on an oval was 12. Ty Gibbs caught him on the final lap of Stage 1 and took the stage win by half a car length. He finished 5th, which was his career best on a short track, and he spent more laps inside the top 10 than any other driver in the field. Joey Logano won the race and led 323 laps. The conditions were severe. It was a night race, and it was still hot and humid. At one point, he asked his crew for sugar because he was cramping. It just soaked the whole time, and when you're behind people, you just start cooking as well, he said. You feel the brakes, tires, everything just gets hot. The detail that connects everything came in his post-race comments. He right-foot braked for roughly half the race on an oval because the track's downhill front stretch and uphill back stretch reminded him of a road course. It's a bit like a road course here, Van Gisbergen said. I tried right-foot brake for a bit. Half the race I right-foot braked and just felt comfortable doing that. It's a real balance track, and you can really affect the car with your driving technique. So yeah, I felt comfortable doing that. The season totals now tell the historic part of the story. Across 17 non-road starts in 2026, he has 7 finishes of 11th or better, an average finish of 19.3, an adjusted points plus index of 97, and a driver rating of 67.4. Remember that Cup average is 100 and average driver rating is 70. He has gone from a significantly below average oval driver to essentially a dead average one in less than the span of a season. The improvement is not uniform, and that matters. At intermediate tracks, his numbers remain below the Cup norm, with a 21.6 average finish, 77 adjusted points plus, and a 58.2 rating. At super speedway and drafting tracks and at short tracks, he is comfortably above average. That split is the honest state of his progress. Here is the historical measure. Among drivers whose careers began after 1972, only 3 showed real road course ability, defined as at least 5 starts and an adjusted points plus above 100, while compiling a genuinely bad record everywhere else, defined as at least 10 non-road starts and a career adjusted points plus below 50. And then turn that around with an index of 90 or above over the following 20. Non-road starts: Jerry Nadeau in 2000 and 2001, Robbie Gordon in 2001 and 2002, Shane Van Gisbergen in 2025 and 2026 with 12 previous road starts at 279 adjusted points plus, 35 non-road starts at 44, and 96 over the next 20 non-road starts. The driver rating version of the same test produces almost the same list. Drivers with an above-average road rating and a figure below 50 everywhere else, who then posted a rating of at least 65 over their next 20 non-road races: Michael McDowell in 2023 and 2024, Robbie Gordon again, and Shane Van Gisbergen at 67.2. 3 names in roughly 50 years. That is the company he is now in. The championship consequences are immediate. He currently ranks 14th in the standings with a 54-point cushion over 17th-placed Erik Jones, the top driver outside the current cut line. He entered North Wilkesboro Speedway at 31 points above the line and left at 54. According to Neil Payne's Chase Odds forecast model, Shane Van Gisbergen now has a greater than 90% probability of making the postseason cut. That would be his 2nd consecutive playoff appearance, but this time without the win and in reward that his road course dominance handed him last year. The ripple effect is the underrated part. Because of his recent results, combined with better days from North Wilkesboro Speedway winner Joey Logano, who was also recently on the bubble, there is now only one chase slot whose favorite sits below 90% to make it in: Austin Cindric in 16th place. That means a fight is developing between Austin Cindric and the next drivers below the cut line, Erik Jones, Ryan Preece, and Brad Keselowski, all competing over one fewer available position than it appeared when Van Gisbergen's fate was uncertain. 5 races remain in the regular season. NASCAR heads next to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. 2 road courses also remain on the schedule, which functions as his safety net, though the entire point of this season is that he may not need it. Return to that night at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The driver who radioed his team to ask what he should do with the lead led more oval laps in that single race 49 than in his entire prior NASCAR Cup Series career on ovals. There is no loophole here, and there is no trick. This is a 3-time Supercars champion accumulating repetitions at the one discipline he had never done, combined with tire management that transfers to every kind of racetrack. As he put it himself, "I love the series and love racing everyone in it." Certainly the good guys in this series and the level they're at is pretty impressive to see how they're just always up there every week, so I'm trying to emulate that a bit. The open questions are whether he wins an oval race before the season ends, and whether the intermediate track weakness gets solved or turns out to be the ceiling. Leave your answer in the comments.